Okay, so we just talked about creating this particular program. So let's go ahead and run this guy and let's see what it basically looks like. So we click run, and here we have this little screen come up. So notice we have welcome to Brandy's Bagel House, so that's the label that was created. And we got bagel toppings and coffee. Each one of those is a panel. And they've all been included into one window. And notice I have my calculate and I have my exit button. So remember, the exit button basically calls this, the exit button calls this exit listener button, which then goes ahead and does a system.exit, and basically 0 says get out and clear up everything. So here I have my white and wheat, those are my radio buttons. I can select some type of a coffee, and then I can add my cream cheese or whatever I need to do. When I click calculate, it's going to call each one of those different methods for each one of those different classes, for each one of those panels, and gives us a subtotal, our tax, and then basically our total. Okay, so pretty cool stuff, not too bad. I don't want to cover this part, but there is a thing called a splash screen, and there's actually a class called, I think it's Splash Panel. If you want to take a look at that, kind of look it up. But what it will do is it will, if I can get to that particular, yeah. So what it will do is actually display this little window right here for how many seconds you want to display, and then it automatically goes away and continues on the program. So that's basically what a splash screen does, is it displays some graphic for so many seconds, and then basically just goes away and lets the program run. Again, if you want to take a look at that, you can look at this the splash panel. I think you can go to Google and go to the Java API. And if you scroll down to the S's, you will see here. There it is, splash screen. And again, you can kind of read on how to use it and how to call the methods and what the constructor does and all the different items as well. There may even be some examples that you can look up on the internet and actually include those. But it's kind of cool, kind of fun to play around with that as well. So using console to output to debug a GUI application. So the system.out.println method can be a valuable tool in displaying diagnostic messages in the GUI application, because the system.out.println method sends its output to the console. So in a real-world situation, we don't see the console. So if we were to actually have this as an actual program that somebody would run, we would not see what's in the console. The console is great for debugging. So if we take a look at the kilo converter, the basically the last one, so I grab this guy and throw it into the default package, and I open up kilo converter. Have it convert over. So if we take a look at this guy, we've got our panels, we got all that, and same exact thing. I don't want to go into the details on this, but down here for debugging, display the text entered and its value converted to a double. So we basically do a system.out.println and basically display that in the window. Everything else we're going to display to the user via the JOption pane. But any of our debugging stuff, we're going to use the system.out.println. And that's totally legal to do. In fact, we do it all the time in a real-world situation. It allows us to see what's kind of going on behind the scenes. Okay? So if I run this guy, there we have our distance in kilometers, and I click 100 and click calculate, and it comes up. And notice in the console now it says reading 100 from the text field, converted value 100, ready for the next input. Okay, we might even say what was converted to. Okay, you can put whatever you want there. Now we don't want to put too much, because in a real world situation there's a lot of stuff that gets displayed in a console, and that console gets pretty filled up. In fact, I've actually kind of had my my hand slapped a few times from our folks who kind of are our help desk folks, because they use the console for a lot of the different help messages. And if we have, let's say, a loop that maybe this loop's going to run 100,000 times, maybe we have 100,000 records we're going to read, and if I do some kind of a sysout on each one of those records, it's going to put 100,000 different messages in that console. And those folks who basically rely on that console for different things, those actually fill up, and they actually become files sometimes, and so I actually can fill that file up a lot, and then they'll call me and say, why are you doing this? Because our files are filling up, our screens are filling up, we just don't want to see that stuff. And we'll basically then just basically say, hey, we need to see that stuff, okay, and we have to kind of fight, and whatever the case may be. If it's needed, we'll let it stay, but if there's some way we can stream on it and make it not display as many lines of text, they'd rather have us do that as well. So just different things to keep in mind. At this level, by all means, put stuff in the console. Display your debug messages in the console. Let yourself know what's going on, so that when you run this, you can kind of see what's going on behind the scenes. So if there's some factor or some particular variable you want to kind of keep track of, by all means do that. And plus, it helps you know what's going on, because there might be a variable you're using that you're not displaying the information in a JOption pane, and you need to know what's in that variable. We'll display it in the console, and that way there you can kind of debug and see what's going on. So again, totally legal. Not a bad thing not to do there. Kind of getting back to, let me close this. So that's basically all that part was talking about, is by all means use the console to display some things to help you debug your programs. Totally fine to do that. So that's basically all we're going to cover this week. Again, next we're not going to meet next week, so and out there, let's actually just take a look at it. So let's go out to the e-learning. And we go down here to week 8, and so here basically is, now this is a PDF, this is the instructions. This is the actual Java file. If we click on it, this is what it looks like. You'll want to download it. But basically, right here in these 3 boxes is where you're going to put the code. So right here I want you to declare an array of songs called CD, and it's a size of 6. Here I want you to fill the array by creating a new song with a title and artist and storing them in the appropriate position in the array. And then here you're going to then display them. So what you're going to do is there's a file called classics text. I tell you where there's actually a text file you need to download. I tell you exactly where to put it. You're going to read that file, and you're going to load the array. And then you're going to basically then fill the array, and then you're going to then display the array and the system out. So, here's the instructions. So here's that text file. If you click on there, I tell you, whoop, did I tell you? I thought I put that in the, I need to put that in the instructions then. Okay. But here's the arrays instructions for this lab. So basically, this is the class document. So we're going to have an integer. We're going to have a double. We're going to have a method called average, another method called calculate mean, and oh, I'm sorry, you need to create this class, right? You need to create this class. And then you're going to create so for this class called average, you're going to have an array called data, which is basically an int, a mean, which is a double, and then you're going to have a method called average, one called calculate mean, one is called toString, one's called selection sort. Okay, and it tells you what each one of those will do. And then we're going to create an average driver class. This class only contains the main method. The main should declare the instance of the average variable, and then basically compile. So basically, you're gonna feed this average class some information. So you're gonna pass some stuff to it. So you're gonna instantiate the average class as an object. And then you're gonna basically use that object to then call some of the different. You're going to call some of the different methods and basically get the averages, the mean, and then a sort. Don't worry about the sort. Don't do the sort. Then the array of objects is basically the item that we have in the Java code that we have attached to this in the e-learning. So you're going to copy the songs.java, and so basically so this is basically right here, so it says oh, I need to add the song.java. Let me get that added, and then I'll get that added as well. And here is basically what you're going to be working on, is this guy right here. So you need to put the code in for this. You need to put the code in for this. And you need to put the code in for this. And this guy is going to then read this file of those items and then basically load them into the array and then spit them out. Okay? So let me add this particular program right here. Okay, if there's any questions, again, remember, guys, I'm going to be at Boy Scout camp, so I will not be, I probably won't be that readily available. So, so make sure you get those questions to me before Sunday, this coming Sunday, and then I'll be back the following Sunday. Okay, thank you, folks.